Hi guys, it's Kathi with the Groovy Chick Boutique, and this is my very first beginner's crochet video. First, a few things to point out. Lefties, I apologize. I do not know how to do left-handed crochet. So if you are looking to find a beginner's video, I will put a link to a specific left-handers beginner's crochet video for you guys to check out in the link below. Also, there will be a list of abbreviations for the different stitches. We'll get into that a little bit later. Couple of tools you're going to need obviously are going to be a crochet needle and your yarn. One thing to keep in mind with the crochet needles is they all have different sizes, and all the crochet needles will say what number hook it is millimeter wise and what letter. So right now this is an I hook. It's 5.5 millimeter. About 98% of the time 5.5 or 5 millimeter. That's what a lot of the projects that I work on use. So that's one thing to look out for. One thing about yarn, depending on what type of project you're doing, if you're going to be doing anything that requires, at least personally for me, if you're going to be using anything for hats, scarves, baby blankets, any of that stuff, go with a softer yarn, obviously. I love this yarn, is my favorite type of yarn. It's from Hobby Lobby. They also have a 40% off coupon that you can use at any time unless it's on sale already. When you get your yarn, what you want to do is you want to check on here for what type of needle that is typically required for this type of yarn. Most of the time it'll say 5.5 or 5, so you're safe in that aspect, but it is important to make sure you have the right type of needle for your yarn, otherwise your project's going to look wonky. So why don't we get started and I'll show you a few basic stitches. Okay, so you have your yarn, and if all is right with the world, there should be a little snippet of yarn coming out of the middle of one side, and that's where you want to pull your yarn from. If you don't see any yarn coming out of either side, may the odds be ever in your favor, because then you're going to have to stick your finger in there and pull out a bunch of yarn and hope for the best. And sometimes you might find this little piece he can pull out. If he doesn't pull out, sometimes it ends up making your yarn get stuck, and it can be a pain in the butt. That's just a little tip that I've learned. So basically, most of your projects, if you're going to just do a basic chain stitch, it's usually your what they call a foundation row, is going to start with a slip stitch. Basically what you do with a slip stitch, it's kind of similar to tying your shoes. What I like to do is I like to take the yarn like this, twist it around. So right now you have it twisted like a loop, and take the shorter piece of yarn and pull through, kind of like a basic slip knot. Hopefully that's something you're familiar with, and that's how you get started. Take your needle, hold it like I hold it, like a pencil. Hold it however is comfortable for you, but this is how I hold it. You want to stick it through your loop, and again, it's however holding it feels comfortable for you. Everybody's different. This is how I hold mine, and I hold my yarn. You don't want to hold it too tight, but hang on to your yarn so that you can work with it. In order to do a chain stitch, you want to wrap your yarn around so that your hook can grab it and pull it through the loop. Watch that again. So wrap the yarn around, pull through. Wrap the yarn around, pull through. That's a chain stitch. So I'm just gonna do a chain stitch. Again, I'm just holding it like this, so I have just enough control of the yarn, but not too tight to mess up your tension and your gauge. That is important, because if you do your chain stitch too tight, you're gonna mess up your project. All right, so we're gonna do a few of these. Flip over and through. Yarn over and through. So I'm gonna do a few of these. Feel free to pause. I found in the times that I've watched videos, I paused it all the time just to catch up. So I'm going to do a few stitches, and I think that's enough. Okay? And obviously when you're counting stitches, you're just stitching. These are the loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, common knowledge. There's two different ways that you can do when you, what they call turning chain. If you're going to do the next row, we're going to do a single crochet. That's your probably the smallest stitch, at least other than a slip stitch, that I'm aware of. So in order to do a single crochet, now you can either do it, sometimes it's easier. If you can see this, there's a hole in the middle here. When you're doing a single crochet, you skip the first stitch, go to the second stitch, and you see the hole right here. You want to keep your hook inside that loop, hold on to the yarn, put the hook through, okay, right through that loop, lift your yarn up, pull up a loop. Now you have two on your hook. Flip over again and pull through both of them. That is a single crochet. I'll show that to you again. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the next stitch, or the third stitch. You're going to put your hook into the hole, pull this yarn through, and you got through two, and then you're going to flip it again and pull through. So now you have your chain and your single crochet. Personally, for looks, I prefer the more difficult way. If you flip this, it's not as pretty back here, but it will look prettier on your border. Right back here, if you see this little tiny, it can be kind of a pain to get in there, but there's a little hoop on the back. So here's the front of your stitch. On the back is one single loop that goes all the way down the line. Same thing, but you're going to use the back of the stitch. Go through that loop, flip the yarn over, pull through. You got two on your hook, flip the yarn over, pull through both. Okay? Get your back loop. You're going to put your hook through the back loop, put the yarn over, pull through, two hoops or two loops on the hook, pull the yarn over and pull through. So that's a single crochet. The next stitch, and by far my favorite stitch, we're going to keep the chain. I'm actually going to chain a couple more. The next stitch is what is called a half double crochet. For me, I find this one, if you're doing blankets, it's a faster, easier stitch, and I think it's prettier, but that's just me. And everybody does their own thing a little bit differently. But when I'm doing a half double, you're gonna, this time, put the yarn over before you even put your hook anywhere. You're gonna skip that first again. Some people skip the second, but I just skip the first. That's my personal preference. And you have the loop, the yarn over your hook. You're going to go back into the hole in your loop and pull yarn through. Now you have three. The difference between a half double and a double, which I'll show you later, is when you have the three on your hook, you put the yarn over, hold on to your chain, and all you're going to do, now I find that it's easier if I flip so it doesn't get caught this way, pull through all three at the same time. I'm going to show you that again. Pull the yarn over, go to the next stitch, this hole right here, put your yarn in, or your hook in, so you have it like that. Pull the yarn over again, and pull through all three on the hook, which that one didn't go very well. Let's try that again. So flip the yarn over, put it through the hook, or put it through the loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3. Yarn over, put through the hole, pull through, got 3, yarn over, pull through all 3. That's a half double. The next stitch, and the last one I'm going to show you in this particular video, is the double crochet. We got our chain. Okay. A double crochet. You also yarn over first. This time you're going to skip 1, 2, and in the 3rd stitch, put, just like always, put it through the hole in the loop, pull up a loop. This time, instead of pulling it all the way through all 3, you're going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops so that you have 2 on the hook. Pull over again and pull through 2 again. Yarn over, go into the next hole, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the next 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the beginning. And what I'm going to do, because it seems that double crochet seems to be the most popular stitch that I've seen the patterns do. So I'm going to do a chain of 15. Actually, I'm going to do a chain of 18. And then I'm going to turn the row and show you how you get from one end to the other on your second row. So we got our slip knot. We're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and do my chain of 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay? I'm going to put my yarn over 1, 2, so you're going to skip the first and the second, go into your 3rd loop, yarn over, pull through, 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull over the second 2. And you repeat that all the way to the end. Yarn over, go into the next loop, yarn over, pull through, 3 on the hook, yarn over, go through the next 2, yarn over, go through the next 2. I'm going to go ahead and finish the row so you can see what it looks like when it's done. Now I realize I may be going a little fast for beginners. That's why I recommend pausing and going back. It's gonna take time. Don't get frustrated. It took me a long time to learn myself. It's gonna take time. But once you get the hang of it, if you can really get into it, it's like second nature, and it's very satisfying, at least to me anyways. Almost there. Hope you can see. There you go. Okay, and we're down to the last. Okay, and last there. Okay, and there you have your first row, or second. Sometimes they don't consider the foundation the first. Now, if you were to continue on, and this is something that the reason we skipped the 2 stitches in that first row is because those 2 stitches are considered what they consider a starting row or starting chain. On the second row, before you turn your work, it'll tell you to crochet 3. So you're going to chain 3 on that row, turn the yarn, okay, keep everything on your hook. This is the same as on the first row when you skip 2 chains. It creates a little bit of a chain that you aren't really aware of, but that's how you get this end over here. So you chain 3, you turn, you pull the yarn over, and then right here in these little holes, I hope you can see these little holes, which are right under these loops, is where you want to put your needles. So I'll do the second row because sometimes that throws people off. It's a little bit different than crocheting in the foundation row. So we have our 3, we yarn over, go into the first loop here, or the first hole here, pull up your yarn, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the next 2, and do it all the way across. And just do that kind of slow for you, yarn over, and just like you did it on the previous row, but this time instead of going between these loops, you're going underneath it on that row. I hope that makes sense. Now, if you're struggling, you have any questions, please contact me or comment below, and I will try and help in any way I can. Again, it takes practice. A lot of times you have to learn how tight to pull the yarn, and you'll learn. It takes a couple tries, but you'll get there. So we're just going to finish our yarn over in the loop, pull through, yarn over, pull through the 2, yarn over, pull through the 2. And that's basically it. The first few basic stitches. Next video I'll get more into doing things. There's a magic circle. We'll get into that. There are different stitches like shell stitches and V stitches and picot stitches, and I could go on and on. So we'll work on some more complicated ones next time once you get comfortable with these types of stitches, and hopefully I can help you get to where you're comfortable with doing more. So there you have it. That's your very first, very basic beginner's crochet video. Hopefully that'll get you started. Again, any questions, please don't hesitate to put in the comments. For any crocheters that may be a little more advanced than me, if you have any tips or suggestions that might help, please feel free to, also comment. Any way we can help, people that want to learn, that would be awesome. So thank you guys. Appreciate all of your support, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Thanks.
Something I like to add in.
I know, but that's fine. I kind of want to see